from Studio 1A in Snowflake Village. You're listening to Pod Bless Kentucky.
All right, we're here. Welcome this week. And it seems like it's been a crazy week. Yeah, it's been a crazy week. We are back. This is the second week of July. We're actually taping on July 16th. And so, all right, there's been a lot going on. I mean...
Oh, my God.
Can we say... to take the words from Kellyanne Conway, the collusion, delusion, confusion, and if we're not confused about all this crap that's been going on... I mean, there was definitely collusion going on.
I don't think anybody's confused except for them.
Kellyanne.
Yeah, maybe Kellyanne Conway, exactly.
I mean, if you're a Republican, you are definitely confused.
I am confused, though. Even though I'm not a Republican, I'm only confused because of the reactions of other people. I am confused in that why the hell are the Republicans not flipping the fuck out? Why is somebody not saying... Gee, maybe this is not normal.
Well, I think there are a few Republicans that are sticking their necks out a little bit and doing that. But,
no, not enough.
Not enough. Well, that's...
Not the ones that matter.
That's true. That's true.
I mean, like, there may be some little pissant one that's... Well, this is an incorrect thing to be doing.
I mean, if you've been under a rock, in a cave, underneath a mountain... You haven't heard about what's happened with Donald Jr. this week. If you hadn't heard, Donald Jr. Supposedly met with a Russian lawyer, and he met with this lawyer on the pretense that he was going to actually get information about the Hillary Clinton campaign and the DNC. So, I mean...
Well, I mean, the first thing to point out is that he's been saying the whole time that nothing came of this meeting. They got no valid information. Nothing happened. But now, Sonny, you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, but was it not 40 minutes after this meeting that Donald Trump suddenly tweeted out
right.
that...
So the timeline was something like the meeting was scheduled at 4 o'clock, and then Kushner left after like 10 minutes. And then within 20 to 30 minutes total, Trump puts out that tweet at 4:40.
And the tweet basically said that 33,000 emails.
And it's the very first tweet ever that he put out about these emails.
With specifics, that said that 33,000 emails had been compromised on the server, correct?
And there was something, I think, also that said, before that he had said some 30,000 emails. And then he corrected it to go to the 33, which is a far more accurate number.
Right. So it was very
it is not coincidence.
No, it's very convenient timing that suddenly Junior would meet with this woman, then suddenly we'd have some very specific numbers on why, what was going on with Hillary's campaign.
So let's hear what Junior said actually happened at that meeting.
Do you tell your father anything about this?
No. It was such a nothing. There was nothing to tell. I mean, I wouldn't have even remembered it until you start scouring through the stuff. It was literally just a wasted 20 minutes, which was a shame.
I mean, that's kind of a crazy thing right there because, I mean, even though he says there's nothing that he got out of it, that they didn't obtain the information that they were seeking.
That we're aware of.
And supposedly there were other people there. And we'll talk about that in a few minutes, but...
I mean, I think it's totally irrelevant whether or not he got any information. What I don't understand is how this is not the 21st century version of Watergate. Like, that was a little before my time, but...
A lot?
Yeah, like 20 years or something. Wouldn't it just be, oh, look, someone who was helping us hacked into the email server. Oh, look, someone has bugged this.
Well,
I don't understand the difference.
Well, before we go any farther, we do have a guest today. That is Jordan. Jordan's with us, and we have our normal crew, me, Tom, we have Dana, we have Sonny, and then, as I said, we do have our special guest, Jordan, who comes in from time to time. She is kind of a regular here on Pod Bless Kentucky.
Well, I don't even know if it matters. The real thing is that they spoke to a foreign government, in regards to things that were going on here in the U.S. from someone else. I mean, that's enough to go, hi, Russia knows this crap. Why are they telling me this? And why aren't I screaming it to the hills? Holy shit, Russia knows this crap,
Well, and
Right.
that's the biggest, that to me is the bigger issue, is you have these people who contacted, and the email chain is extremely clear. You have the Russians who contacted, well, it's not the Russians, it's Goldman, Goldstein, Goldberg.
Yeah,
Goldstone.
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 One of those gold.
He contacts them and says, listen, this guy has all of this dirt on Hillary Clinton. Do you want it? And without hesitation, Junior is like, yeah, I'd love it. But so then he's claiming just because once they got there and the lady starts discussing the adoption, the Majinsky Act, he thinks
That's what they're
that
saying.
invalidates
happened.
everything.
That's what they're saying.
That's what they're saying. But then there's also
Well,
these,
they can talk about whatever they want, but if someone hands you a file, you're not talking about it.
and now there is a Russian that went. I have his name, but I can't say his name. It's like Akshem Mitum. Anyways, he is admitting that there was indeed a file folder that was handed to Junior.
Wow.
Now, what he doesn't know, what the Russian guy does not know, is if it A, stayed with Junior, or B, left with the lady lawyer.
Well, this has been a big thing, and of course, you have to get something from the president. I mean, it's kind of crazy. Like, he didn't say anything for almost 24 hours to defend his son. And when he did send out, I mean, you would think he would actually come on to the media and say, okay, this is what happened. No. He actually sent out Sarah Huckabee Sanders. And this is what she said about 24 hours later.
I have a quick statement that I'll read from the president.
A written statement.
My son is a high quality person, and I applaud his transparency. And beyond that, I'm going to have to refer everything on this matter to John Jr.'s counsel and outside counsel.
But see, it's not been transparent at all, because all week long we've been getting these dribs and drabs of information.
It's only transparent once they get busted.
Well, and that's what I find really funny. Instead of saying from the very beginning, we had this meeting, these are the things that came out, it's more like lie, cover your ass, lie, cover your ass, lie, cover your ass, anytime they're confronted with something. And the thing is that they've got in their minds, because Trump is such an admirer of Putin, they've got in their minds that these people are our friends, that, Putin's going to have his back when shit hits the fan. Putin's going to send him out on a barge and leave him to die. I mean,
Very true.
It's just stupid.
He is not a friend of the U.S. I mean, he has nothing to gain by the U.S. succeeding. So he really doesn't care about our democracy. He would love to see our democracy
absolutely
fall.
out for number one.
That's very
Well,
true.
and he's absolutely out. It's been marked before in other conversations with him. He's absolutely out there to bring back in relative
if he could
term,
bring back the Soviet Union,
he would bring back the Soviet Union.
Oh, if he could lock them down, make him communist again, and make himself a dictator, he'd do it in a freaking heartbeat.
I mean, if you think about like his past with the United States, I mean, this is a man who, when the Soviet Union was greeting Ronald Reagan, there are actually pictures of him as his secret KGB self portraying a normal citizen shaking the hand of Ronald Reagan. So, I mean, it's kind of insane. I mean, this man is not someone you can trust. And to take the idea that, oh, yeah, we should be chummy with the Russians is an absolute farce.
It's essentially, when it comes down to it, he's a spy. I mean,
and we've known this
he is
for
a
years.
trained KGB agent. I mean,
We've known this for years and years and years and years. I mean, I can remember even like back in like 2008, people were like, If Putin had his way, he'd bring back the USSR.
Well, I mean, think about it. He was president, then he was prime minister, then he was president again. I mean, he's managed to find a way to keep himself in power by putting puppets in other places where he could control behind them.
Quick, Jordan, fact check. How long has Putin
Yeah, that's what I was
actually
just-
been in power? We'll come back to that.
Now-
Because we also know that Putin has very nefarious ways of getting rid of any of his opposition. Like, they just die.
Drop like
Food
fries.
poisoning is a really big issue to watch out for.
Heart
over there.
attacks.
Yeah.
Heart attacks, somebody accidentally falling out of a window. And we actually are beginning to scratch a surface. Mr. Smith was one of the people who was maybe not contracted, we're not going to use that word exactly, but was trying to find those 33,000 emails. And he was working, according to the Wall Street Journal, Washington Post. Shit, I'll have to look that up. One of the two Washingtons. He was looking with them, or he was, according to them, he was looking for those 33,000 emails. After all this shit didn't work out and things were starting to hit the fan, he did an interview in May. I want to say like May 9th. He did an interview with the Washington Post, Wall Street Journal. And in that, he admitted to a lot of this nefarious activity. The emails, this larger group of people who were literally on the hunt looking for the emails. He
19
dies. He
Yeah,
actually committed.
mysteriously.
No, he committed suicide.
Or
It's
at
been
least it
deemed-
says that he committed suicide.
according to the coroner's report, he definitely committed suicide. But not only that, the note that he left in all caps says no foul play.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
I looked at Putin.
Yeah, he's been in power since 1999.
Yeah, he's been the current president since May of 2012. He was prime minister from 1999 to 2000, president from 2000 to 2008, and again prime minister from 2008 to 2012. So,
Okay, so here's my
wow,
ignorance.
sure sounds like a supreme leader to me.
Well, but here's my ignorance of Russian government. What is the difference for them between a president and a prime minister?
I don't know the difference for Russia, but for most countries, the way it works is the prime minister is elected by the parliament, the president is elected by the
people. So, well, getting back to
Alrighty.
our first statement is why in the heck are Republicans not seeing what's going on? And I actually believe that things are starting to change, and some folks are starting to notice. This week, after all of this came out, Charles Krauthammer, who's a national syndicated author who writes for numerous newspapers and is a commentator on Fox News, actually went on to Fox News and had this to say.
Well, I love it, are the fatal words. The defense of the Trump administration for the last 6 months, which I supported, was there doesn't appear to be a there there. I was saying this is a cover-up in search of a crime. There wasn't any evidence of collusion. There were lots of coincidences, lots of meetings, lots of non-disclosures, but that's all circumstantial. There was nothing to show that the Trump administration was aware of or supporting the Russian interference in our elections. And this just showed up today in black and white, released by Don Jr. himself. This is not released in the anti-Trump media. So you see it in black and white. This is not to say that collusion is a crime. It never was. But it is to say that the denial of collusion is very weak right now because it looks as if, I don't know if there's any other explanation.
I mean, so
Well,
there's
I'd
a
say-
lot going on. So, I mean, even though he says collusion is not really a crime, however, now, it's not actually written as a crime. However, lying to the American public and over and over and over again, saying that this is fake news is just ridiculous.
How is this not conspiracy to commit a crime, though?
That's a good idea.
You know, and
Sounds
I'm
like a
not
lawyer
even
question.
Yeah.
right.
Well.
I'm not a lawyer, but really, seriously, how is it not a conspiracy to commit a crime? If the four of us sat around here and said, I think we could pull off a heist, like an Ocean's 11 thing. I think we could pull off a heist. I think that the four of us could, and
We'd be going
we'd
off
sit
to
there
Sing
and-
Sing if we got caught.
if we got caught, yes. But if we put it out there, right? If we tape all of our plans, like total fucktards that we would be, to tape all of our plans and put it on our podcast.
Definitely a conspiracy, I would think.
Yes, right. That's what I'm saying is, so we put all of our plans out on our podcast and somebody picks it up and says, oh, hey, look, they're going to do this, this, and this. We don't actually commit it, but
the
we
plan
would
is
definitely
there.
be
Well,
arrested.
The real problem is that they're kind of hiding behind this, oh, we didn't know we were doing anything wrong. You know, basically ignorance is an excuse here rather than the, hey, you were contacted by a foreign government. Holy crap, dude, maybe that's not okay.
But how can you not know that that's wrong? If somebody and I really am getting pissed with these stupid ass Fox News people that are like, well, if somebody contacted you and gave you told you that they had information on your opponent, you certainly would go and learn the information. And I
But the
can't
whole idea of
figure
saying
out
that-
how they would. Why? Who would?
But the whole idea of them saying there's no there, there's nothing there, and that it was a lie, and that they had nothing to do with Russia, and they had no connections with Russia.
Well, and that's what
Except that in the email, it gives the names.
Well, but see,
Right.
that's the problem is that the whole thing has been, oh, well, we didn't do that, but, oh, yes, you did. Okay, well, we didn't know this, but, oh, yes, you did. You know what I mean? We've been having this back and forth.
Well,
Yeah.
and
All week
regardless of
long.
whether or not
yeah,
Fox...
and he goes on to tell more about it. So
A hell of a defense to say that your collusion was incompetent and that it didn't work out. The fact is that this is not just opposition research. This is not somebody coming out of the woodwork in Indiana with a story about the Clintons. This is a foreign power, and not just any foreign power, an adversary foreign power, a foreign power that invades our allies in Georgia, in Ukraine, buzzes our airplanes. Just last week in the UN, it nixed any attempt to get sanctions increased on North Korea that supports a genocidal regime in Syria. This is our most serious adversary, one could argue,
Well, this,
in the world, and to receive information from them. But here's the deal from the genocidal regime in Syria. This is our last week in the UN. It nixed any attempt to get sanctions increased on North Korea that supports a genocidal regime in Syria. This is our most serious adversary, one could argue,
well, this,
in the world.
Well, see, that's the whole thing. Stop pretending these people are our friends. Stop acting like the things they're doing is okay. I mean,
regardless of whether or not they say it's not illegal, it totally is. It borderlines fraud. So that sucks for them.
And they
But
keep
that's
saying
the way it goes.
And they also keep saying, they keep using, it's not illegal, or we didn't know that we were meeting with the Russians. It was an unnamed blah, 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 except that
that email says
the email
Russian.
says, well, but the email
Clinton.
not only says that, it names two Russian dignitaries or two Russian people. One of them happens to be, and I'm probably slaughtering the name once again, Emin, E-M-I-N.
Yeah, and well,
And who the
he's
fuck
not
is
an
him?
actually dignitary. He's actually a performer. Is
Is that
an
the
actual-
pop star?
Yeah, he's a pop star
Isn't he
who worked
Putin's
with.
son?
No,
No.
He's,
I
he's
thought
a
I
pop
read
star.
that was Putin's
He's
son.
okay, so he's the son of a wealthy Russian
Oh, that's that
man.
Margarus or something
Right.
like that.
and the son is like my age and a Russian pop star. But Donald Trump has like appeared in his music videos and done other things for him.
But their names
Yeah,
are like
and he
literally
worked with
listed
him,
in that.
He
Yeah.
worked with him
On
on
the-
the pageant
Yeah.
circuit. When Donald Trump was in charge of the Miss Universe pageant, this Iman gentleman, who is a international pop star through a Russian pop star, that Donald Trump was able to help promote. So there is that connection there, but he
so
has
Junior
connections as
cannot-
well.
Junior
No.
can absolutely not say he did not know he was meeting with Russians.
Oh, yeah. He knew exactly who he was meeting with.
Well, and the thing is that this meeting has really just kind of solidified some of the details from that dossier.
Yes.
So hopefully, no, not really hopefully, maybe within the next couple months we'll see some PP tapes.
I mean,
I don't want to see
okay,
these
we don't want to
tapes.
see that. Well, we do. I mean, NBC actually sat down with the lawyer the Russian lawyer who sat with Kushner, Manafort, Don Jr., and a few other
I don't
folks.
know, like 4 or 5 other
I
guys.
can't even keep track anymore.
You wake up one morning and find you are the focus of all the high-ranking upstream media.
On June 9th, 2 weeks after Donald Trump secured the nomination, his son, Donald Trump Jr., along with Jared Kushner and former campaign chair Paul Manafort, met with the Russian attorney.
In June, you met with Donald Trump Jr., with Jared Kushner, with Paul Manafort. What was the purpose of that meeting?
I never knew who else would be attending the meeting. All I knew that Mr. Donald Trump Jr. was willing to meet with me. I could recognize the young gentleman who was only present in the meeting for probably the first 7 to 10 minutes, and then he stood up and left the room. It was Mr. Jared Kushner, and he never came back, by the way. And the other individual who was at the same meeting was always looking at his phone. He was reading something. He never took any active part in the conversation. That was Mr. Manafort.
So Paul Manafort actually sat in on the whole entire meeting. If anyone should be able to say, wait, this is wrong, we need to go to the FBI, it's Paul Manafort.
I have a conspiracy theory on this one.
He's worked enough.
Go ahead, give your disclaimer.
Oh, by the way, these are our opinions. These aren't fact. Whenever we state something to the effect of, I believe something, that's us, not something that we're reading.
Yeah, we are not professionals. We are 4 folks sitting around drinking beer. We have. I'm going to try and stall this out as much as I can, so we keep stunning. So we are 4 folks who sitting around drinking, talking politics. And remember, some of these things are accurate. Some of them are hearsay. So
okay, so my conspiracy theory is Manafort was texting with
Trump.
We'd have records. We'd have records.
Oh, I'm
No.
sure.
They can.
But it's hard to subpoena those. That's a.
I don't care who subpoenas it. I bet you he was texting with Trump, or Trump was even on some kind of weird voice recorder because.
Oh, speaking in his ear in like a little earpiece or something?
Like something. Because how else would he have that information so damn fast?
Well, I think we can all, other people can agree to disagree, obviously, but I think we can all agree in here that Trump knew exactly what happened in that meeting.
Oh, he did.
Of course he did. There's just no way that he didn't. He's trying to downplay it like, oh, it's no big deal. I didn't know any of this crap, blah, 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 so he can keep everybody
He is so addicted to television and to all things
Trump-licious.
Well,
yep.
Did you see that he
I wouldn't be
said...
surprised if he thinks in his tiny little mind that he's a big old mobster dude, and he has to know everything about what his family is doing.
Well, I don't even know if it's a mobster mentality. I think it's just the fact that he feels like he's entitled to everything. I think that... And I do think that. I think especially now that he's
fucking
president, I think he thinks
privilege.
that. Well, I just think that it's him. I think he is a narcissist to the nth degree. I don't know if it would matter what color he were to some extent. I think he's got privilege because he's white and he's rich. But I think he just thinks that he's president. That means everything is his. And God damn it, we're supposed to fall in line. And we're not. And it's pissing him off. And that's why we get all these stupid frickin' tweets and everything else, because he can't handle it. And so when it comes to this, I think he knows this is going to blow up in his face. And that's why you notice he's distancing himself a little bit, other than trying to defend his son and things like that. He hasn't come out and really, other than the normal rant and rave shit.
Well, I like how all the internet is comparing them to the Bluths from Arrested Development.
Frito.
Because honestly, that is the closest thing I have ever seen. It's like that there's GIFs, they're like, you can't arrest a father and son for the same crime. And it's like the bad advice the lawyer from Arrested Development gives.
I do love the fact that they compare him to Fredo from Godfather, because Fredo gets the kiss of death. Remember that, I mean, I think he's setting himself up.
He's totally going to throw him under the bus to save them.
You notice Kushner left this meeting. I believe Kushner left for plausible deniability. I believe he left so he could say, I don't know what's going on, because Kushner's in enough trouble of his own at the moment. So, I mean, he doesn't need this on his back.
And Kushner's actually the only one that is part of this administration. Donald Jr. is actually running the company. Paul Manafort has moved on to his next kind of campaign
that's the other part
situation.
of this that has me confused is, so Junior was part of the campaign, correct?
Yes.
But he isn't part of the administration.
Correct.
And that's why the campaign can pay for his legal fees?
Well, he also didn't have to disclose any meetings with the Russians because he does not work for the administration.
Yeah, and but he does he or does he not receive security clearance?
He does. He receives Secret Service and things like that.
He doesn't receive
security clearance.
Security clearance.
No, but he does get protection from the Secret Service, because that's pretty
Kushner
common.
does, and
and
him walking out of that meeting I think he kind of hoped that
it's
he wouldn't have
stupid
to.
in ways that he doesn't have security clearance, because that's like,
No,
everyone else in his family does. So what are they going to talk about at dinner?
The thing is that this is why presidents divest themselves of crap, when they come in. I do believe hopefully sooner than later, whenever this administration ends, we are going to have some serious changing of laws in regards to ethics and devastation of,
if those fucking electoral college people would have just fucking listened to me in the first place, we wouldn't have this problem.
When we rule the world.
I will, damn it. No, I won't.
So, as we said, there were other people in that room, and NBC actually talked about who all might actually be there.
NBC News has learned that this man, Rinat Akhmetshin, a Russian-born American lobbyist and a former Soviet counterintelligence sergeant, who some U.S. officials suspect has ongoing ties to Russian intelligence, was also in that room at Trump Tower last summer, alongside Donald Trump Jr., Jared Kushner, Paul Manafort, Russian lawyer Natalia Veselnitskaya, and a translator. Akhmetshin denies any current ties to Russian spy agencies.
If you're an investigator and you care most about ties between the Trump organization and the Russian efforts to meddle in the election, this meeting now looks a lot more significant.
No kidding. I mean, come on.
Okay.
See,
believe it or not, and I'm going to get people throwing at me stuff in a minute. I get a little of their frustration, the other side's frustration with a lot of this, because a lot of it is just conjecture. We're not getting anything specific. We are getting things little bits at a time of, validating a lot. And I don't disagree. This is full of crap and it's really shady and it's bad. And I can guarantee you it was all bad that happened. But it's because there's not solid proof of, hi, here's the dossier that Junior got handed, and they're going to be cagey unless they can get real proof. So I can see why they're giving back a little shit on it, and they're going to give back shit on it because they can't. Oh my God, I wish you could see the look that Sunny is giving me right now. She looks like I just betrayed the entire liberal nation.
No, the look is, I told you were a moderate.
The thing is everybody is hoping that Mueller is actually collecting all of this. That he is not going to be able to put the feather down on Donald Trump, but actually the anvil, that will totally take out any question. Because with this president being able to say that all this is fake news, he's going to have something very, very concrete.
Well, I do believe that some of these blocks are going to start to fall, and I think Kushner is one that's about to tumble because, and you probably know the number better than me, 111?
For what?
The meeting Kushner's had with foreign...
It's over 100. I don't have the
that he did not divulge.
That he did not divulge. Correct.
He met with over 100 foreign...
And he's corrected his security clearance form at least 3 or 4
times.
Oh,
my bad. I didn't remember that I met with over 100 people from different countries in regards to their interest. Am I
That's correct.
Stating that correctly. If you can't remember over 100, then you don't need to be in the White House for any reason whatsoever any day of the week. But regardless,
you don't forget that shit.
No, you don't forget that shit, and you can't go back and just say, "My bad, I'm so sorry." Over 100,
you shouldn't be able to. Even John McCain has admitted that if his sons, who I'm assuming they are also in military, or
John McCain's son,
or government
actually
capacities.
enlisted during the Iraq War.
Okay,
I mean,
but he has even admitted. He said if his sons would have had omitted even half of the contacts that Kushner has omitted and then gone back and conveniently remembered, they would have been court-martialed. They would have been thrown in.
Yeah,
whatever.
I mean, the sad thing is,
or whatever.
is just the other day there was actually a vote in the House on Jared Kushner's ability to have security clearance.
Okay, so it didn't cover just Jared Kushner. If you give me just a second, I can pull it up.
So, but when the vote came down through, it went basically party lines.
It was absolutely party line.
When are people going to wake up and say, all right, there is something fishy going on. We need to take a look at this.
Well, see, I think that's the thing, is that it comes out, drip on a Monday, drop on a Tuesday. And so they're able to every single time somehow normalize it. Because if you can say, oh, that's not bad. And you come out like, well, that's a human mistake. Anybody would do that. That's not bad. So then you get to Wednesday and you're like, So when you don't get the whole pie in front of you at once and you're getting pieces at a time, people tend to ignore it. I think it's easy to normalize. And then, unless you get slammed with it.
If it's raining, and you have a huge thunderstorm on Monday, a huge thunderstorm on Tuesday, and and it keeps going throughout the week, there is some normalcy to it. People will go, oh, hey, I'm just used to this. It can always get worse.
Well, the rain analogy is a really good one because you think about it. It rains on Monday, you think, oh, it just rained. It rains on Tuesday, you think, oh, it just rained. It rains on Wednesday, you think, well, we're getting a little wet over here, but it's just raining. And then by the end of the week, you're drowning, and you didn't realize it the whole week long. That's what was happening.
So basically, we're on Wednesday on this.
Because
we've seen this keep going, and sooner or later, we're either going to realize that, hey, we're in the middle of a flood,
right?
Or we're going to start taking buckets and throwing it out.
Well, and that's the whole thing, is when is the Republican Party going to realize that they have to start bailing too?
When they stop getting money.
Oh. Yeah, unfortunately. So
that House Appropriations bill, it actually would have stripped it would have made it so that it was harder, and it would have stripped them immediately of security clearances if they were under federal investigation, not just pertaining to Jared Kushner, but to anybody who was under investigation.
That seems like a reasonable thing for me.
Right? I can't even imagine why they didn't have that there in the first place.
Because you don't think you're going to need it. Why do we have to say this shit? That's what
point.
it is.
That's kind of when you like when you look at the bottle of bleach and it says "do not drink," and you're like, why would someone even think to do that?
Well, it's like going to McDonald's. Coffee is hot. No shit, Sherlock, it's hot.
Exactly. Now, granted, the whole McDonald's thing, that was a whole different situation.
Yeah, I know, but it seems stupid to have to say, oh, by the way, coffee's hot. And I feel like that's where we are. Why should we have to keep saying this is bad? Why do they think that we're moronic for saying, maybe Putin's not the best person that we're supposed to be,
but the right, I'm telling you, I watch these tweets and you watch the right, and they're just like, well, maybe we just need to be friends with the Russians. Maybe it's time. Hello, how can it be time to be friends with the Russians?
All I can, and I know I've said this before, all I can think of is that every person before a certain point in this United States that has fought for our freedom, the ones that have passed away have got to be rolling in their graves.
Exactly. I look at what's going on, and it's just amazing of everything that's going on. So the great thing is, and I know that we have to talk about Blue Apron. So Blue Apron, what do we know about Blue Apron? I've kind of taken a break from Blue Apron a little bit, but you guys really know a lot about it.
Well, they are a meal service that sends things to your house in pre-measured with recipes and ingredients. They locally source their food. They send it directly to your home. They make some great things. I mean, I know it would be easy if somebody handed me stuff and said, "Hi, here it is. Make it." I'm guessing
Right.
for you too. Yeah.
So what happens if I don't know how to cook?
They literally have the recipes right there. It's kind of like, can you boil water though?
So
well, they give it to you step by step. Yeah, it's
Right.
step by step. They've got some great stuff for this summer. They really, since they source local ingredients, you get things that are in season. So right now they have beef lo mein with black garlic and sugar snap peas, which sugar snap peas are very summer. And then they've got spicy pan-fried chicken with corn on the cob and tomato salad.
Who doesn't like fried chicken?
Who doesn't like most of that?
Well,
I know. I mean, fried chicken just screams summer to me.
Well, I mean, like, to me, corn on the cob, especially tomato salad, because tomatoes right now are so great. You know, I happened to hit up the farmer's market yesterday, and they had some beautiful ones, and all I could think of was, you get that directly to your door. You don't have to do the shopping. You don't have to do the grocery store. You don't have to do fighting crowds, and you get it directly there, step by step, what you're supposed to do. And if you're really smart, you enlist your children to help.
Ooh, that would be awesome.
And actually,
We're not.
Not Jordan. But actually, I have seen where, they say that it's the perfect time, and these are the perfect ways to teach your kids how to cook, because there is the step-by-step recipe, and everything is already done in these portions for the kids. So all they have to do is just dump shit in and go on.
So, I mean, the greatest thing is like that it's all local produce.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're getting
that's
stuff from around you. You're supporting your local economy in the process.
Oh, wow. And you're able to help out farmers to be sustainable. And I mean, it's such a great program.
Less carbon footprint. I mean, it really is as good as it could get. If you want to go to Podless Kentucky and look it up, you'll get $30 off your first order.
Oh, man, that sounds great. Well, there was a lot of other things that happened this week. A huge thing was the Pence actual visit to Lex Vegas, and
Please never call it that
Please
again.
don't ever call us Lex Vegas again. That's horrid.
Well, I mean that.
No.
We are like it's in it. I want to have people come to Lexington. I mean, it's great.
Lexington's fabulous for a million other things, but don't call us Lex Vegas.
What's wrong with Lex Vegas? I mean,
well, that implies you can gamble, and you can only kind of sort of gamble here at gaming machines that are racing machines that,
and we
they
have
got
Keeneland.
bingo.
I mean, come on. I mean, granted,
Well,
Keeneland's not in right now.
That's October and April. That's October and April. If you'd like to see horses run, please come to Lexington. It's beautiful in October and April.
All right, so Mike Pence came to town we found out on Tuesday that Mike Pence was actually planning an event here in Lexington at the Bryant's Rent Hall on Red Mile Road.
On Wednesday, we had 24 hours notice that he was coming.
I mean, I have to say, for having 24 hours worth of notice.
Shout out to Julie Martinez.
Julie Martinez
Dan
is amazing.
Pack, Kristen Pack, Jane Eller. There was somebody else.
There were
too.
several different organizations that got together to throw together a protest in 24 hours. And in 24 hours, they managed to get 300 people out there to, protest. Largely, Pence was coming to speak to small business owners who have had issues with the ACA.
Right. And not only
that felt
them.
slighted by the
not
ACA.
only them. Commander Ingram of the Lexington Police Department. I mean, that man really stood up. I mean,
he did.
I don't know what his political affiliation is, but he made sure that our voices were heard.
He stood up for the Lexingtonians and definitely made sure that we were safe and made sure that we were a part of the process that happened.
So I guess there was actually a conversation between him and Secret Service. And Secret Service was actually very taken back because when they first came and said, this is what we're doing and here's where, and whatever. And Ingram said, well, here's the deal, though. I have people that are going to want to counter-protest this, and I feel that their voices need to be heard. And I guess Secret Service was just like, whoa.
Well, we've been to a lot of protests here in Lexington. So, I mean, we've had a very, very good working relationship with the Lexington police. They've been very good about making sure everybody was safe. They've been very cordial, and I think that they have gone with the attitude that we are their neighbors, we are their friends, we are not their enemies.
And with this being a national event, I mean, there were a lot. I mean, there are protocol that they actually do, and protocol that has actually happened since the Bush administration, where they actually bring in these large trucks. They bring in trucks or large buses to block the area where either the president or the vice president will be speaking at, and therefore there would be create a barricade. Now, granted, we weren't able to see what Mike Pence was saying, but from the folks on the inside, I mean,
all 12 of them.
There were there
were
a few more. There were a few more.
I would like to point out it was a very, very hot day on Wednesday. I have some incredibly interesting sunburn tan lines because of it. But it was very, very hot. It was 92 degrees outside. And the people who paid money to listen to Mike Pence, to listen to our governor, to listen to our representatives, were in an air-conditioned warehouse. And it was a minimum of 104 degrees in there. So there were people who trickled out as it went on because it was just ungodly warm in there.
And the administration, they were basically looking for people who had adverse situations with the Affordable Care Act. And he had a round table at the beginning before his speech. And the Republican Party and the Chamber of Commerce actually got together and put together these people who attended. And some of those people who actually attended were these people. It was Terry Bryant from Bryant's Rental, Gail Bryant, Scott Bryant, Congressman Andy Barr. I mean, we haven't seen Andy Barr
He will
in
not
months.
hold a town meeting without
But
it being a paid thing.
The vice president comes into town, and there he is.
Well, there's a lot of speculation. I think that it's pretty much been agreed with that Pence was here specifically not really to listen to these people about the ACA, but was here to put pressure on Rand Paul to try to get him to switch over to to side with the GOP in regards to the BRCA?
Yeah,
the
well,
Better Care
BCRA.
Better Care Repeal Act.
Yeah,
Better Care,
yeah, version 2, version whatever.
492.
Yeah, I mean, now, granted, he couldn't get the person that he wanted. He wanted Senator Paul to come in, but he couldn't get him. But he did get Matt Bevin. Matt Bevin, who plans on changing Kentucky's whole idea of any kind of social assistance, Medicaid, Medicare. Oh, well, Medicare is federal. Medicaid and the SNAP benefits, and he has got a whole new plan that he's trying to put out in the fall. But Matt Bevin came in and he spoke.
Well, I mean, him and Pence are like besties, so I don't know why we're surprised by that.
Now, unfortunately, there were other
there's
people.
rumors of a ticket. Of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that.
Unfortunately, there were other
makes me
people that
nauseous.
attended this, local businesses that were there to listen to the vice president and actually speak. And part of this round table, Jim Akers of the Bluegrass Stockyards, you had Lynn Breaker, who was from Remedy Intelligent Staffing, Anthony Elmore of Warbuck Development, Congressman Brett Guthrie, Ian Goff of Goff Tents, Stephanie Hillmeyer of Hillmeyer Landscaping, and Adam Hinton of Hinton Mills. You had a number of state representatives. You had Philip Pratt. You had you had some more business folks. You had Jillian Shaw. Jayton Shaw of Hospitality of Bluegrass, Gary Watkins of Warbuck Development, Dan Withrow of CSS Distribution. Okay, like I said, there was a number of state representatives there as well. You had the state senator Ralph Alvarado, Dan Bentley, who is a pharmacist out in Ashland. You have State Rep Wesley Morgan from Richmond area. You have the Lexington City Councilman. This is Kevin Stinnett, who I don't know why he was there. I mean, he is very Republican leaning. So, I mean, he was there. You had Jill York, who happened to come in. I mean, there there was quite a few people who actually attended this. And, I mean, these are some of the business leaders who are supporting this idea of hurting some of the people who most need it.
Well, I was going to say, all I notice, the common thread through everything, whether it be state, national, whatever, is the people at the bottom are the ones who lose and get things taken away, and the people at the top are the ones who benefit from it. And the people at the bottom, it's not even like it's a gigantic expenditure. You know, I mean, if you go through and look at a lot of these things, you know, defense is more than half of our budget. And when you take up these other things, it's not like it even comes up to a quarter of that. You know, it's actually a lot less. So to some extent, or why are we pinching pennies to spend pounds, you know, and why are we hurting the most vulnerable of our society? And then largely they are. No matter what you've been told your whole life, the poor are not lazy. And, I mean, there's a reason they call them the working poor. Largely, these people have jobs and are out there busting their ass to be able to put food on their tables. You can't take a woman who was on assistance and finally got her butt off of it, you know, through a lot of hard work, took a job making $8 an hour, and then take away her food stamps. You know, I mean, you just can't do that. Do you want people to need help? I mean, to get help or not? Do you want them to do better or not?
And there are those people who take care of take advantage of these situations.
Of course there are, but they're not the majority.
And these people who are saying, well, we just need to get them off of assistance are the same people who in St. Louis just dropped minimum wage back down. Because it was $10 an hour in St. Louis, and they just dropped it back down to $7.75.
There's actually several states now. I kind of in the back of my head, I remember a law being passed federally.Maybe it was even an executive order that said that nobody could go over the minimum wage,
the federal
minimum wage. They weren't allowed to do it.
I think that was a state law because I'm pretty sure it's just Kentucky because I know they made a law against like Louisville and Lexington having higher minimum wages than the state law.
I think you're right. I think you're right. It was a state law.
If the rich make money off of taking money away from the poor, there's a problem.
It is not a luxury
to
pay your people.
No, it's not.
If you can't afford to pay the people who work for you, you don't deserve a business.
And pay them a living wage. I was trying to point this out, and this is kind of off topic, but I was trying to point this out to somebody else because they said, well, burger flippers don't deserve a living wage. They're just supposed to be high school kids. Okay, that's great. Let's take the scenario. Bear with me, folks. It's kind of a long one. You take the scenario where because burger flippers, so we're talking McDonald's, we're talking Wendy's, we're talking minimum wage jobs, they are only supposed to be high school kids, correct? According to...
I guess to them.
To these people, right?
Right.
So let's take that into consideration. That means, at least in the state of Kentucky, McDonald's cannot be open until we'll give them a 4:30. Would be the earliest that McDonald's could open.
Unless they're in a co-op situation where they're only at school half a day. Regardless, the earliest they'd be able to be open is probably about 2.
Yeah, but then those kids would not be able to use the actual... they wouldn't be able to use the fryers or the
right. They're not old
because
enough.
They have to be over 18 to be able to use that equipment.
Exactly. Not only that is they have to, because of, and I believe this one is a federal law with the child labor laws, they must at age 18.
Before 18, they can only work so many hours
per
before
week.
They have, per
but
week.
They also have to, on a school night, be out, not closing, out of the building by 9:30, 10 o'clock. So what they're asking is that any minimum wage job, burger flipper, whatever, they can only be open from, I'll give you 2.
4 to 10.
But from 4 to 10, no, they can't even be open until 10 because the kids have to be out of that.
They have to be able to close. Yeah.
So you'd have to close at 9:30 so they could clean.
9
o'clock.
Which is kind of ridiculous. I mean, that is truly ridiculous.
So that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And then you go into, they don't, servers only make, what is it, $2.75?
$2.75.
And they cannot be under 18. They have to be 20.
To be able to serve alcohol, yeah.
To be able to serve alcohol, they have to be 20-something.
Even
so
though
actually they have to be 18.
You have to be 18. You have to be 21 to be a bartender. But
yeah, but 18 is actually like
you can carry the
someone
beer
a
to the table. Yeah.
Okay, but then you're getting into those aren't high school
Those are
kids.
college students, yeah.
Those are
Right.
college students.
Yeah, but college students are just whiny little kids, remember? Safe
or-
space.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. But my point is that think about how that you would have to adjust. Their logic behind this, people don't deserve a living wage.
Well, and think about
just because they are burger flippers is stupid.
Well, and then think about it too. If you were only open, say 2 to 10, and so your revenue would cut way down, so you'd have to raise your prices. So
God, how expensive would a Big Mac be?
Yeah,
and then people stop going, and then you close. You know,
Right.
so I mean, well, and speaking as somebody who has some kids around those ages, I can tell you this much: when they're in high school, they don't want to hire you because you interfere. They have to plan so much around you, and it's not that they're lazy. It's not that high school kids are lazy. They want to work. They want the money, and they.
Well, and there are plenty of other jobs that make minimum wage. The idea that it's just burger flippers who are
that's
making
just-
minimum wage.
That is literally was my example.
I know,
because
but
I
that's
think that
what
would
they,
impact
that's what they
the
think
rich
about.
as the poor.
They don't think about, I don't know, who else makes minimum wage?
Oh, a number of different jobs.
Pretty much,
until it really started to be made a big deal out of. It wasn't unusual for places like Lowe's and Michael's and
well, I think
Kroger.
Michael's,
A lot of places.
Michael's still gets minimum wage.
Well, and I think that Kroger. I'm not even sure Kroger.
I'm really tired of just we have to be able to pay our people. We have to be able to run our business. It's a load of shit, I mean, we were at the Pence rally. All these people that were in there bitching about how the ACA had affected their business left in luxury cars, I mean...
There were more Cadillac Escalade trucks
I'm
pulling
sorry
out of there
that you
than-
couldn't buy your next boat because someone wanted to eat. Like, that's unacceptable.
Or that somebody just wanted to be able to go to the doctor without fear of not being able to pay their damn electric bill.
Right.
Or not being able to keep that roof over their head.
And I mean, the main purpose
does it hurt you?
that Pence was in town was to talk about the healthcare plan, and that Governor Bevin was in full support. And what a lot of people don't realize is that there are many cuts to this Republican plan, the Better Healthcare Initiative or whatever it is.
Whatever the hell it is.
And there are many cuts to unexpected folks who have no idea that it will affect them, particularly the elderly. Not many people realize that when someone goes into a nursing home, like a large portion of those folks are on Medicaid. They're on long-term Medicaid.
Not Medicare, Medicaid. when it becomes of that.
Medicare absolutely does not pay for one single penny of a long-term nursing care.
What it does
Nothing.
pay for is their prescription drugs,
Right.
while they're in the facility.
Gee.
However, the facility is anywhere between $8,000 and $11,000
per month.
Per month.
And so basically, in order to even get there on Medicaid, you have to literally divest yourself of everything you own and can't make more than...
I believe it's
it depends.
$33,000.
And they take every penny.
They
Oh,
take
yeah.
Well, they take all but $60. You get $60 every month
to pay
and
your
that's-
co-pays.
Well,
Well, you don't even have to pay
co-pays. But
because
that's
once
like
you're on
if
Medicaid, you don't have copays.
But that's like if you wanted to get your hair cut, or gee golly, maybe you need new bras, or maybe
or a new pair of
pajamas
shoes,
or
or-
shoes, and you have $60 per month.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean,
Or
so
maybe
it gives a
chamomile
whole
tea is
different
your
perspective.
favorite and you want your own box of chamomile tea, I mean.
Right.
It gives a whole perspective to the folks that were driving those Escalades. I mean, they lose those Escalades, and you get $60 per month.
No,
They will never
don't.
have to worry
well,
about
there
that.
are
But that's
protections
the
that
problem.
They can, if you're wealthy enough, you can pay a lawyer who can actually, because I had some bitch telling me about this, that she has all of her parents' stuff locked down, so that if her mother or father ever has to go on long-term Medicaid, all of it will manage to go to them, and she'll still be able to get the long-term Medicaid.
Essentially what it
they
is.
won't
Well, what's
lose
going to
anything.
happen when long-term Medicaid doesn't exist?
Then-
Because there is a
That's what
large
they're trying to get rid of.
population that is going to need this.
Baby
As the
boomers
baby
are getting
boomer,
old, yeah.
What's going to happen is then people will have to live with their kids.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah, I agree.
I've done
hell
that
no.
before.
I mean,
I love my mama,
unfortunately,
that's a bad
like
idea.
there are folks who need that nursing care that cannot take care of themselves.
yeah.
Well, and let's be very clear. Even if you choose to move your parent into your home, you don't get that care to come into your home without you putting out the expense.
Right.
Very true.
What is given to you is very minute, very, 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 very little. You know,
See, and that's a double standard that I would love to see fixed, because so my mother had a stroke 2014. When we had her at our house, the only money we got was her pension and her Social Security, right?
Right.
Which was not enough to pay for somebody to come in twice a week to bathe her. And it was not enough for me to pay to have somebody come in and either sit with her or to send her to an adult daycare so that I could go out and work. Shit, we barely even got time out. I would have to have the kids come and babysit her while I went to the grocery store.
However, you could
But-
bathe her, but unfortunately, that requires someone who's been trained.
Right, because
many people say, "Oh, well, you could have bathed her." Well,
You're wrong.
that's not exactly the case.
In
When
some
you need
people,
someone
yes.
who's trained.
Well, it's not just that, and it's not always. My father has Parkinson's. He's not a small man. He's 6 foot tall. My stepmom is about 5'4", and she's a bird. She can't lift him to get him in the
Physically, she
tub.
can't. Physically, she
She's
can't.
going to hurt herself in the process. And they're caught in that catch-22 of we can't get somebody to come help us, and we can't afford anything. You know,
And that's exactly it. However, if there was nobody in his family, and when I say nobody, I mean like they will even tell you, well, you have a son-in-law that can do it.
Right, right.
But if there was nobody in the family that could physically do this, then the government would kick in and Medicaid would kick in and help you pay some of these bills. But without that proof, and I can't imagine asking my husband to bathe my mother.
No.
And physically, he could do it because he could get her in and out of the tub, whereas I couldn't have.
Yeah.
But that's not fair to ask a son-in-law. That's not fair to ask a daughter-in-law. That's not fair. It's very difficult. Maybe it's not fair. Maybe that's the wrong thing, and that's what they're all like, oh, fairness, fuck fairness, whatever. It's too much. It's a hell of a lot to ask a family and to not give them compensation. However, if they had nobody in their family who could do it, then they get paid. And that person gets paid big money. I know a woman that got paid that $6,000 a month because this old lady had nobody else to take care of her and wanted to stay home. So Medicaid kicked in and paid this other person like $6,000 a month. Shit, if I got paid $6,000 to $8,000 a month to take care of my mother, I could probably do it. And I would even take less than that.
I don't think so. I don't think I would.
Yes, you would, because you could send me to adult daycare all the time.
I wasn't talking about you. I was talking about Granny.
I could send her to adult daycare all the time.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, I mean, that's what the purpose. And granted, a lot of people were there. It was a great event that people were able to come out, hear their voice, get their voices heard, and maybe the vice president saw some people and might have, like we could hope, like the Grinch, that his heart grows 3 times.
I would rather elect the Grinch than Mike Pence.
Well, I will tell you that they came in through the front door and they left through the back door.
That's very true.
So they didn't even have the guts to come back the way they committed. And I'll also tell you those wonderful box trucks that they had to put up really didn't block us from seeing crap.
That's very true.
Well, they blocked. If you were across the road, you were blocked from seeing things. But if you were in the area that was one of the areas that the police made sure that we had, it didn't block anything, and I could totally flip off Mike Pence. Yes, that was me.
Well, let me tell you, I have to give a great big shout out to the Lexington Police Department on the fabulous job that they did. They were very cordial. They were, joking around with us. They were making sure that people got taken care of, especially when it started getting very hot. But they had a great rapport. I know I'm going to get this wrong. Was it the chief of police or was it?
It was a commander.
Was it Commander Ingram or was it the chief
Commander.
of police that just got the award with the fairness? Got an award at the Fairness Award.
Was the chief.
I think that was the
police.
chief.
And that's a very, very big deal. That's being cited for being I'm going to get this wrong. It's basically an equality award, if I'm
right.
And that they make a real effort to make sure the citizens here are safe and do it in a very loving and thoughtful manner. And I think that their attitude was, if we approach you hostily, you're going to respond hostily. If we approach you,
with respect, and dignity,
and it really was. It was handled very, very well. I'm really proud of everybody that was there.
So let's give a big shout out for the Lexington Police Department.
Woo-hoo! Yeah, yay! There we go.
Yeah, good job, guys. So, all right. So there's this other thing that we've been kind of noticing on the internet, and it's called the Redneck Revolution.
Dana found that and showed it to us, and I had kind of heard, maybe not rumors, but whispers of it before when the Pikeville thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I didn't hear. I never.
Well,
saw
from what I understand, they made a pretty good showing at the Pikeville.
I had
thing.
heard that they had too.
And these guys were like from Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
or
if you
something.
can't
They
remember
came
what
down.
the Pikeville thing we were talking about is when we had some white nationalists actually decided to come to the area of Pikeville in eastern Kentucky to kind of promote their hate, and there was a large outpouring from the local community, and what we're kind of looking at is there's this redneck revolution.
And they do describe themselves as lefties, and I will post the article that Dana found. I'll post it on the website or on the Facebook page, both. They describe themselves as lefties that don't want to give up their guns. And
that's a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people don't want to give up. I mean, what a lot of people don't realize, and one of the big three, the God, the guns, and the gays. I mean, those are the big things.
That's what the GOP runs on. They use those things to keep you scared and keep you, that those things, that they're keeping their God, like we're making them leave, and they're keeping their guns. I don't know about you guys personally. I haven't gone after one person's gun. I'm pretty okay with you owning the gun if that's what you feel like you need to do.
Just don't use it on me.
Well, I mean,
there are a lot of unsafe places in the world, and even within the United States, and I'm not going to tell somebody that they can't protect themselves.
No,
I mean
I don't
that's
the
responsible
argument about
gun owners.
Exactly,
It's all about being responsible.
Well, I mean, and the thing is that no one's coming after your guns. We have the Second Amendment here. We have the Second Amendment here for a reason. I mean, because there were times that foreign governments did come in and take our guns. So they technically weren't our foreign government at the time, but they did. The English came in and took all of our guns during the American Revolution. So we are never going to be placed in that position again, and we're very clear about that. I do think that most people can agree to reasonable background checks and to closing some of the loopholes, but. I mean, keep your guns. Please keep your guns. Your guns make you happy. Keep your guns. Keep your guns. Here in Kentucky, especially, don't go after anybody's guns. And I think that we've got to take that back. I mean, we're not going to make everybody happy. We've had this discussion 100 times. There is no making everybody happy, but we can do our best. And I think that, let people do what they want in regards to God, in regards to, people of the LGBTQ IAP, communities. That's one of those things that I'm very open and accepting to. I think everyone should be, and you're an asshole if you don't. But, I mean, I'm not going to go tell you what you can and can't believe, but we've got to stop.
She'll just call you an asshole for it.
Very much so. But, I mean, I think that we've got to stop letting them have the guns. I think if we can take that back, most people will step back and say, hey, you do you,
Right. And, I mean, we're not saying that, okay, there shouldn't be... We shouldn't hold people responsible for guns.
There should be reasonable gun laws.
Yeah, as long as they're common sense and reasonable.
Right.
I mean, we are, and it's kind of interesting because I saw a report that said that the amount of gun purchases during this time, during Trump, has gone down considerably because of all the rhetoric that was put out for 8 years that Obama was actually going to take away your gun or Hillary was going to take away your gun. Now, here's the thing. If you look back at Obama's record, he never took away anyone's gun. He actually increased
the rights.
Your rights for gun ownership.
Before, just as a little note there, as a side note, before Obama, you could not take a gun into a national park. It was forbidden. Now you can take your open carry and your concealed carry into a national park.
I will tell you that directly after the election, guns, surged. And it was largely among the liberal communities that guns surged in, the purchase of guns, because people felt unsafe.
I mean, I don't know where this whole idea that liberals are going to take away your gun.
It's damn propaganda. Yep.
They want you to think. I mean, I think that there are places that it is appropriate to bring a gun and places that is totally wildly inappropriate. You should not have a gun at a school.
Correct.
End of statement. I don't care if you bring it to a state park. I don't care if you bring it to...
If there's no reason. Like, there are places, there's absolutely no reason to have it. When you say a state park, I'm thinking campground. There's no reason to have it at a campground.
No. I'm talking like, you go
it's not
up...
Alaska.
You go up to, like...
Okay, maybe in Alaska.
In Alaska.
You go up to Red River Gorge, right? There's bears and bobcats and things of that nature.
Y'all, I'm shooting a bear. I mean,
wouldn't it be so freaking cool, though?
No,
be
it would
like,
not
Mom, I went on my camping trip, and guess what I bagged?
I think there's something to be said for natural predators, and there's something to be said for other things, I mean, okay, here's an example. My daughter lives in an apartment complex. The maintenance man came to fix some things the first day that she moved in, and he was open carry. And
that is not necessary.
Well, I thought about it. I didn't leave until he left. But this man enters strangers' domiciles every damn day of the week. And I had to think about that. What if I was a, Child Protective Services person and I'm walking into strangers' homes every day? What if and volatile situations, I might add. I can't say that I wouldn't have a gun with me. And, I think I look at it a little bit more liberally than probably other people do. But I do understand that if you take that off the table and you say, this isn't going anywhere, we're okay with it, especially here in Kentucky, we've talked about this before too, you cannot take away people's guns. If you do that, you're automatically that crazy,
You're that stereotype.
You're that stereotype. I was going to use a very unpleasant word that we get called a lot. But
hillbilly?
No, I was going to say libtard. We get called that a lot. Yeah, bad word. But, you're that crazy person that's taking, telling them that they can't do something they're going to do. And by damn it, they're Americans. They're going to do what they want,
Right. And we said, as far as a campground, not having a gun. I mean, well, here's the thing. We live in a totally different society than what our parents lived in many years ago.
I mean, I think that I live in a different world than you all were used to.
Yeah, and you're in your early 20s, and
it gets old being called old by her.
Hold on.
So,
in my defense, things have gotten very different between when I was 12 and now.
I can agree with that.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, I was talking to a gentleman the other day, and we were saying how, like, when we were younger and you had a bar fight, it was an actual fight. You had somebody threw fists. Now,
someone's
if a bar
getting shot.
Yeah, someone's going to get shot.
Well, it's like, you remember when you used to be able to drive and flip somebody off and you didn't have to worry about them running off the road or pulling over and pulling out a gun?
Oh, very true.
Not
now,
anymore.
Yeah, I mean, you can't even...
Actually.
Although, I mean...
When I was living in Michigan, actually, when you would go down near Detroit, it would not be unusual to see. It wouldn't be unusual if you flipped somebody off to see them wave a gun. But then again, actually,
Detroit.
it wasn't.
That was Detroit.
It also wasn't unusual up by where I grew up with. But we also had.
Okay, Kid Rock country. You're doing really well here.
We also had.
Speaking of Kid Rock, he announced that he was going to run for Senate in Michigan. I mean.
What is up with that state?
Okay.
Oh my God, there's so much up with that state.
What did I just say? Michigan militia. You gotta Google it sometime. They are fucked up.
Well, the whole point of this, we're gonna get back around to it, is the redneck revolution could be a real thing that we could harness if we really, really tried. I think that it's definitely the way a lot, these people are very, like you said, they're very anti-racist. They're very, pro-Muslim. They're very, they definitely...
They are us with guns. And I honestly, I don't have a problem with people carrying their gun. I really, really don't. I do feel there are appropriate times, and I do feel there are inappropriate times, and I don't, the jackasses that just carry it around in the grocery store just for intimidation or just because they can, that's just being a jackass. But
I'm taking Sonny to court days.
And I mean,
no.
Oh my God!
It really proves that we are really one group. And
they are. They are just like us.
Well, they're choosing. The other side is choosing to allow, or we're choosing to allow them to divide us based on really minute details.
Yeah, 90% of the stuff we agree upon. We love our kids. We love our family. We love our country. It's that 10% of the stuff that we disagree with that really rips us apart. And that's where we really, as a country, need to work to get together.
Well, I also think that we need to remember that it's okay to agree to disagree. I mean, I'm tired of everything being absolutes.
Multiple opinions really are not a bad thing.
No, we learn more. We grow. Mm-hmm. I will like to point out, because I forgot to mention this when we were talking about Pence coming to visit, we did have one anti-Trump person that, or a pro-Trump person who showed up and yelled at us to get jobs.
And I am super angry with bluegrass politics, because one of the pieces of shit they posted on there was that we were all shouting at this guy, telling him...
Oh, really? I saw exactly the opposite on the Herald Leader. Like, the Herald Leader was singing you all's praises.
Oh, no, I have to admit, that was a beautiful piece by the Herald Leader.
That was, but bluegrass politics...
Immediately tweeted
that we were shouting him down, and they even had video... And they were like, "Oh, they're shouting at him now, and they're yelling at him about something or another." And I was like,
they accused someone of actually following that gentleman around while he was at the protest, which is hilarious because I know who that person was that was actually following him around.
Well, there was one.
That was me.
There was one person who wanted to engage him in conversation, and she did with the police present. It was peaceful and lovely. And yes, Tom chose to follow around the pro-Trump person to speak to him, though. He was talking to him.
And it was more
I wanted to get his
other
ideas.
people, and it was also to keep other people
away
from engaging with him.
Well, and we should point out the man was very drunk. He had left the bar and came over and walked, and he was very toasty. And you
could smell it.
Yeah. A lot of the comments, I didn't get to go because I was at work, but a lot of the comments on Facebook were like, isn't it hilarious that the guy who's yelling at them to get a job is drunk at noon and also not at work?
Right.
Well, we got that a lot. We got it by some people who walked out. And what I find very amusing is just that the implication is that, we don't work when they obviously took off from their jobs to be there.
Now, he did claim that he was a business owner. He claimed that he owned H&M roofing company in Versailles, and that he felt that he had to come and express his views. And granted, a lot of his views were not exactly in line with the people that were out there. His big thing was that he felt that most of those people out there were not employed, that they were paid protesters. And I kind of showed him some of the people that were out there and said, okay, look, these people took time off or using vacation time to actually make their voices heard. And that was important. And so he actually, after people listened to him and all of he just decided to give up.
Yeah,
and decided to go home. So, I mean, he made his voice heard. We made our voices heard. Everyone actually was able to have a little bit of civil discourse.
Yeah, according to Bluegrass Politics, because I went back to look at their tweet, it says, now everyone is shouting back at the man who was yelling, get a job. And the funniest part of this tweet is they actually have video with audio, 36 seconds of it, and you can hear people in the background saying, no...
they were chanting something different.
They were chanting something totally different, and I even made a comment on it. I said, pretty sure we're chanting, save our health care. And that's exactly all you hear, except for him yelling, get a job, and whatever else.
Also, H&M Roofing in Versailles doesn't exist.
Really?
Just for funsies. I Googled
it.
Shits
and giggles.
There's no H&M in Versailles.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Unless he owns the
and we've actually
clothing
decided out of this that we're going to get our paid T-shirts, our paid protester T-shirts that aren't really paid protester T-shirts. We're actually going to put on the back our jobs.
Oh, I don't want
like Dana's is going to say trophy
Mine's
wife.
going to say I'm a trophy wife. Shut
fair.
the fuck up. Yeah. Neema's is going to say I'm on vacation.
Oh.
Because she's usually on vacation. When
now, I mean, that was a good thing. And that wasn't the only good thing that actually happened this week.
No.
I love Jimmy Carter.
And Jimmy Carter, I mean, the former president of the United States, I mean...
I think we can all just say that man is a good man.
He's a good
He
human.
is a good person.
He's a good human.
Yeah, he's a good human.
He's a good human.
I mean, he got out of the hospital.
So, well, let's back up. He's 92 freaking years old.
fighting cancer.
Going through chemo treatments. He is up in Canada. Now, granted, it's not that hot in Canada, but...
He's 92 years old.
He's 92 years old, so we'll give this to him. He's up there building these Habitat for Humanity homes.
Which he started, if I remember correctly. Did he not start Habitat for Humanity?
I'm not sure if he started it, but he has been a huge proponent of Habitat for Humanity.
I mean, like, from the get-go of Habitat for Humanity. If he didn't start it, he has been in the ground floor from the beginning kind of thing.
Yeah.
So he's up in Canada building these houses, 92 years old, and he passes out from dehydration. He doesn't exactly heat stroke, but he needs to go to the hospital. He spends a couple days in the hospital, and on the day he gets out, he goes back to the build. Now, ask the question, who all has tweeted, "How you doing, Jimmy? Get well soon, Jimmy." Who all's done that? Oh, Bill Clinton. Maybe Hillary Clinton. Probably Obama. Anybody else?
Does George
probably
W. Bush
not
have a
Donald
Twitter?
Trump.
Definitely
The
not
real Donald Trump
I don't
has
even
not
think
tweeted out anything.
I do not even think McConnell or anybody else has done shit.
However, a lot of progressive and liberals actually for Senator I believe he's a senator, Scalise, who was shot a few weeks back. I mean, people reached out to him because
both sides of the aisle.
Yeah, on both sides of the aisle. Yet we haven't seen anything for Jimmy Carter.
Okay. It says they were started in the 70s by a man. I'm going to get this wrong. Millard and Linda Fuller. They developed the concept of partnership housing, and they have been very successful because Jimmy and Rosalind Carter have been involved.
Oh, yeah. I don't doubt. I mean, like,
he's really pushed,
But he was down and out because of exhaustion and dehydration. Went to the hospital, and then
on the day he got released, he went right back to the build because it was the final day. It was the final day of the build, and damn it, he was not going to miss it.
It's very common whenever something happens with a former president for other former presidents to tweet out, or to respond out and make some kind of a statement or something, or call, and do some kind of well wish or something. Well, because they're former. What does he care?
Yeah.
Because it's not him.
No.
Or his children.
Hey, can we re-elect Jimmy Carter?
Just no.
No, he wasn't the best president in the world. I think we would all say that.
Okay,
but
let's be hypotheticals. If we wanted to elect Barack Obama for a third term,
no, he has to sit out a full term.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, that's
where we are.
The implication is that we are currently in the sitting out term. 2020 comes around. Barack Obama for president. Is that a?
I think Michelle might kill him.
Yeah, I think she would. But I mean, there will be candidates that will come up, and there will be strong candidates, progressive candidates, and Kamala Harris,
the one I want,
would be great.
Can she run with Elizabeth Warren?
Yeah, Elizabeth Warren, that would be an awesome ticket.
I will say there was another little bright spot of humor, tiny bright spot of humor this week. There was a picture, I don't know if you guys saw it, of Bill Clinton that was taken
behind the bushes.
He was in between George, H.W. Bush's statue and then George W. behind that. He literally was in between them, and considering he was literally in between them as, candidates, it was pretty fucking funny.
It was good. It was good. I liked it.
It was quite cute.
That was a level of humor for the week. Speaking of humor, we had the late night group. There was a lot of people who were talking about the whole Jared Kushner, Donald Jr. and Paul Manafort actually going to that meeting. And honestly, Donald Jr. really took it on the chin this week.
Okay, what you just said, Jumer?
Jumer.
Okay, totally made me think of Dana's not going to get this.
Jimmer McGonomy from Menominee.
Jimmer McGonomy from Menominee.
If you haven't seen the movie Escanaba in the Moonlight, and you probably wouldn't get it.
It's a national treasure.
Yeah. So, Stephen Colbert, the night after the actual tweet heard around the world happened, and this is what he had to say.
I'm crying fake tears. So, pretty much everybody agrees Trump Jr. was dumb to tweet this stuff. And the smart thing to do would be just to shut up. So last night he went on Fox News and explained why he's not responsible for any of this.
Someone sent me an email. I can't help what someone sends me. Yes,
he can't help. He has to do whatever it says in an email. That's why his apartment is full of Nigerian princes and boner pills. You're going to want to keep them apart. You're going to want to keep those two apart. Hey. Plus, this was way last summer. It was a totally different time.
This is Russia fever. This is pre-Russia mania. This is 13 months ago, before I think the rest of the world was talking about that.
Yeah. He colluded with the Russians before people were talking about Russian collusion. Okay? That's like saying, yeah, I fired a gun at that guy, but that was before everyone was talking about this whole murder trial. All right? How did I know? What am I supposed to... Besides, the meeting was a dud.
It was literally just a wasted 20 minutes, which was a shame.
Yeah, it was all in his Yelp review. 1 star, did not deliver treason to table, would not collude again. And that's going to be harsh. That's going to be harsh for her business. She's going to have trouble shaking that one off. I got some news for you, Don. Just because you didn't get your secret Russian intel doesn't mean you're the good guy here. You never heard the pervs on To Catch a Predator say, wait, what's with the cops? I brought wine coolers. What a waste of 20 minutes.
So that was this week. Colbert did a great job. Like I said, little Donnie took a big hit on the chin. Anything else for this week that we want to talk about?
Don't forget postcards on
Monday
at Rock House.
Okay.
At the Rock House?
At the Rock House.
6 to 9?
6 to 9.
6 to 9. All right. Anything else?
No, if you're not watching Colbert at night, you're missing something big, but other than that.
Or if you're not watching it the next morning on YouTube, because it's all there, so.
All right. Well, we're going to finish this wonderful podcast off with Roy Zimmerman. We've featured him a few other times. He came out with a brand new song, and it's called Junior, Treason.
Junior, who did you turn to? You heard the Russians enter to give to you. A normal human would have called the FBI. But when this guy told you to jump, all you said was, how high? Junior, we got your number. It's Treason. This Natalia Vasilevskaya. You knew she didn't just want to say hiya. You did Oppo research, who doesn't? It was about adoption, no it wasn't, yes it was, no, it wasn't.
It's so phony.
All right, that does it for this week. We will see you guys next week. Have a good week.